Good morning. Good morning, Yountville. Woo! This is my favorite town in wine country. How many first-time Yountville guests have we have? This is the town in Napa. This is an incredible place. So we're thrilled that you've made time to join us. It's my honor to kick off and welcome you. My name is Brian, the GM and president of North America for AppsFlyer. Been in the company just less than a year, so still coming up to speed and meeting a number of you. But I'd love to jump in and kick things off. So you might be asking yourself, sort of, why space? Why these stars? And there's a couple of reasons for that. One is you are the stars. That's where you say, like, oh, that's really sweet and sappy. But you really are the mobile all-stars. You are hand-selected over the years. You represent various aspects of the mobile ecosystem. You are some of our clients. You are some of our partners. And we're super excited to continue to build this community around the mobile all-stars. It's also the 50th year anniversary of when we got to the moon. And there's sort of a rejuvenation around space exploration. You got folks like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos investing in private space travel. You got different countries now exploring and sending missions up. And for me, it's personally very exciting. Coincidentally, it's also the beginning of a school year. So I don't know if you have kids in the audience, but for those of you, it's a busy, disruptive, chaotic time of year. You got new schedules. I have a second grader and a preschooler, and my second grader brought home a book about space. And I love this time of year because you find out what they're learning. We're learning centimeters and millimeters, how to tell time, and space. And space is incredible, and it's a very difficult thing to explain to a 7-year-old. We start talking about the Big Bang. And very quickly, this gets very difficult to explain, that there was sort of nothing, and now there's everything that we've ever conceived. And it's getting bigger at a faster rate in all directions. And these are concepts that most adults have a hard time with, but it's incredible to talk to a 7-year-old about these kind of concepts. And I've recently had Sophia, my oldest, into the office over the summer. She got to meet a lot of the coworkers, and she's now much more fascinated about my job. And so I'm explaining to her what we do. So I couldn't help but draw some parallels between the Big Bang and infinite growth and what we're doing. Because in a way, we had a Big Bang back in 2007 with the launch of the iPhone and the App Store, and an explosion of new types of technology, new types of consumer engagement. It sort of wasn't there before, and all of a sudden, one day it's there. And it continues to expand in a lot of directions. And if you've been in the industry, like Raquel, for 10 years, it's hard to appreciate these kind of numbers. We're just so used to it. So I invite you to sit back, take a couple of days out of your very busy lives and jobs and unplug from that, and join us to explore a little bit about the growth of what we're doing, and engage in the dialogue and question yourselves, and really be present with some of the conversations here. We have, talking about growth, we have looked at and curated an event here, which, if it helps you to understand, we sort of have a framework of about three different arenas of the content. So you're going to hear panelists, you're going to hear a little bit from AppsFlyer, you're going to hear mostly from your peers in the market, people sitting around this room, various perspectives of the mobile space. But what you're going to hear are topics around growth, how to capture growth, how to sustain growth, how to take advantage of opportunities of growth. You're going to hear about measurement. After all, that's the main business that we're in, and how do measurement systems and strategies support this type of growth so we can understand what's happening, take advantage of that. And you're also going to hear a lot about efficiency. So how do we capture this growth, and how do we scale in an efficient manner? To kick off, I thought it'd be fun to talk a little bit and give you a little bit of trends and data of the app ecosystem growth. So our friends over at Sensor Tower were kind enough to contribute some very recent data for us for this presentation. But what this shows here, and I hope you guys can see it and I'm not totally in the way, but if we look at in-app purchases over a 5-year period across both platforms, we see a blended average of about 18% year-over-year growth. So that's pretty staggering growth 12 years into an industry. We're moving some very big numbers, and this is only in-app purchases. If we take in-app purchases over the last year and break it down by category, you see some really exciting insights here. Photo and video, incredible growth rate, 75% year over year. What particularly interests me is that early movers into mobile, social, games, media and entertainment, still growing at double-digit rates, and we're moving very big numbers. Games down there, I don't know if you can see, that's $3.6 billion at a 15% yearly growth rate. But what we get very excited about is non-traditional mobile businesses really harnessing what mobile is. And we see this day to day. Many of you in the room represent businesses in organizations, companies, business models that predate the internet, that predate the smartphone. And for us, it's very exciting of what does mobile mean to these businesses. And sometimes it's a customer engagement touch point. Sometimes it's a product. Sometimes it's a customer acquisition tool. And so we get very excited about looking at the market, both for mobile first, but also sort of traditional businesses that are now racing and investing into mobile for various reasons. We see really exciting trends in subscription apps. So of the top 100 non-gaming apps, 76% of them represent subscription businesses. I think I have another slide on this as well. Right. And we see also very interesting sort of marketing and acquisition strategies for these types of businesses as well. This is a very competitive marketplace. There's roughly 5 to 6 million consumer apps out there. And with the exception of China, you're really looking at 2 places to get it, 2 stores. Imagine another retail environment where you got 6 million products in 2 stores. The competition in that environment. So there's all kinds of ways, creative ways, where these businesses are looking to gain a competitive advantage. And one of those things that we see is these businesses really driving people to the web, getting them to register, submit payment information, create a profile, and then push them to the app. And these are app-driven businesses. And that brings up a whole host of new measurement technology and solutions required to understand how that's happening. So a lot of exciting aspects around the subscription economy. From a retargeting standpoint, and it's interesting to note here, when I say retargeting in this context, I mean re-engagement, so driving users back to an app they already have, as well as reattribution. So getting users to reinstall an app that they previously did. That's what retargeting means in this context. About a year ago, this time last year, we saw an explosive growth, over 3.3x growth in retargeting budgets and spend. At the same time, over the last 2 years, we've seen twice as many marketers start to employ retargeting strategies. So if I go back, can I go back? Over half of the, did I just go back? I don't know what I did. Over half of the budgets that we see through our platform represent retargeting budgets as opposed to acquisition. So not only is there more than half of the budgets focused on retargeting, but we have twice as many marketers now doing it. And that's fueling some of this explosion of retargeting. So you're going to hear a lot about that over the next couple of days. From a measurement perspective, early on, a lot of businesses were looking at installs and app opens to measure the effectiveness of their marketing. And we've been working with the market to try to educate them on the value of capturing in-app events and what that means, how that can mirror your business goals, and give you new data points more downstream that accurately reflect company KPIs and business drivers for optimization and measurement. And about a year ago, this time, we saw in-app events measured in our platform eclipse app opens. And that continues to grow, and that gap widens. So that, to me, speaks to the sophistication of measurement and understanding in the market of what these app events mean, how they correlate to their business, how important they are to understand and use for various reasons, justifying investments and optimization. Now, it's one thing to talk about growth and measurement and efficiency, but I also want you to keep in mind that where there is economies of great growth, you're going to see a lot of fraud. You're going to see a lot of fraudsters trying to take advantage of that growth, which is why we invest heavily in solutions to allow you to protect your investments, to understand the different types of fraud, and so you can confidently invest and spend and really understand from a measurement and attribution perspective what's real and what's not. A lot of capabilities around measurement. We've seen unprecedented ability to look at users across different devices and different platforms. This gives marketers a more holistic picture of where their customers are, allowing them to run much deeper analysis. But it comes in stark contrast with a lot of macro conditions in the world. There's unprecedented data breaches. You see headlines now of hundreds of millions of users' information hacked, and you might not even stop to read the article. It's incredible how we've become just so immune to this. But you see the largest consumer brands in the world at the very most senior levels talking about privacy and the importance of protecting end-user privacy. And it's a much more heightened awareness now at a consumer level about how critical this is. So we can't just build incredible solutions for measurement. We have to do it extremely responsibly. You're going to hear Lior, our general counsel, is here to talk a little bit about CCPA. We had early investments in GDPR, and with CCPA coming out in California in January, this is a hot topic. So you're going to talk a lot about privacy and security as it relates to measurement. And then efficiency, and battling that with complexity. And you're going to hear about how some of the marketers and product leaders in the room manage complexity in their businesses, as well as how we do it here at AppsFlyer. So with that, I invite you to sit back, really be present, and dive in. In the room, you have marketers, performance marketers, you have growth managers, you have product leaders, you have executives. You represent small startups getting your first or second round of funding to the largest companies across a variety of industries. Most of your companies, if not all, are headquartered in the US, but you're operating in many ways very internationally. But I invite you to explore what the next couple of years will look like in our space. And I want to welcome you once again to Mama Napa. Enjoy, and thank you.